I remember this exact date, quite frankly. It was February 1st, 1992. And I was walking across the street going from where we had parked our car to where we thought the party was going to be.
My name is Garth Graham, and I am president of the Aetna Foundation.
So down across the street, me and my friend, a group of police officers came down on us, dragged me and my friend out of where we were kind of leaning on the cars, put me down, put him down. One guy got on top of me and put his knee in my back, and they kind of held us in that position.
Sometimes in life there's a transition between where we feel the system is helping us versus we might then now be negatively being impacted by decisions that others do in terms of those who control the system.
What I actually thought, erroneously so, was that maybe there was a shooting somewhere else and they were just trying to get us down on the floor flat. I was just like, wait, okay, they're here for my own good because we weren't doing anything wrong, right? So I was just like, oh, okay, thank God these cops. And I was like, oh, wait, that's starting to hurt a little bit.
When I realized that the officer's knee in my back was hurting and he wasn't going to stop because it was hurting, then I realized that this was not a situation where they were necessarily trying to protect us, but where they were trying to, contain us. Even if we didn't do anything wrong, they were trying to contain us.
So as I was sitting there, I started to feel my own kind of personal worth go further and further and further because I kind of started to put two and two together, and it took me a little while to get there. The guy who was, I think, part of our student body government from our college was actually coming down the street, stopped, and said to the cops, oh, hey, I know him, and said something nice about who we were. And that immediately changed the cops' opinions of who we were. And in about 7 minutes, we were free to go. What I realized then was that Brian's opinion of me mattered way more than my opinion of me. And it mattered in a very real way in terms of how it was going to impact my life that day.
It made me then think about, what are the things that I can do to not let something like that happen again? And that there weren't necessarily going to be anything that somebody else was going to do for me, so I had to do it myself.
But I go back to that night and I think about what I started to think about myself just because of this instance. I was just like, just because of my mind and all the different things that were working on my mind at that point, I can't imagine the millions of minority men of Latino, African American, Native American descent who have other similar things on a more ongoing basis. And then, what are the avenues that they have for out? There are a lot of people who need you to help redefine how people like me are seen. When I say people like me, I literally mean how I am seen. And so that I am not seen as a less than Brian, who luckily came in and vouched for me because he was worth so much more than me in the kind of general currency of things. All of those people are regular people just like you and me, but if somebody doesn't do the kind of work to help illustrate where our challenges are and how people are viewed, then it's just not going to happen. As people were working on Medicaid reform and all of these things, and all of us were kind of in these rooms and having these interesting conversations, I sometimes wondered if anybody in this room knew what it was like to be on Medicaid, right? Or what it was like to be able to get some of these services and have them be an integral part of your life. And if you don't know or don't have any representation or even try to understand what it's like, sometimes you can take either a very patriarchal view, like, gosh, people just made some bad decisions, they'll never be able to get out of it, let's hand them some help. Or you can take a very more, I would say, kind of left, right, whatever way you want to say, which is, people pull themselves by their bootstraps and then they'll be better and then they'll walk on to success and they don't need any help. But real life is always a little bit in between. And the kind of interesting viewpoints in terms of one, whichever your right or your left hand, I think stems a lot from ignorance in terms of understanding the true challenges that people are facing.
Too many times in this field, because of the social nature of the kind of work, people ascribe it to belief systems or ideas and thoughts. But much like there's an entire science in terms of human behavior, psychology, psychiatry, everything that goes along with that, there's an entire science that defines what happens in urban communities when people experience trauma repeatedly.
We need to be able to understand that as we do this work, that there are no good or bad people, but there are people who are affected by circumstances, and there are people that are affected by all kinds of optics.
And it's not about left or right, it is just about facts.